Hello, everyone, and welcome to the New Companions, a podcast for the Elder Scrolls Online. I hope you are having a good day wherever you are. This is live on twitch.tv/Jebro Unity and also is recorded for the purposes of Spotify and everywhere else that you are currently listening to this at the moment. Working with Anchor.fm. Thank you for listening, wherever you're listening or watching. And today is going to be about the DLC Harrowstorm for Elder Scrolls Online. And I have two amazingly awesome, epic, legendary other words that describe people in amazing ways. Guests, ninja614 and Xynode.
Hello.
Hi. They waved as well. So if you're listening to this, you're missing out on waves. So, and beards and green screens and epic studio backdrops. So many things. Okay, so Ninja, how are you doing today? You good? What do you do? Where do you do it? Who are you? How are you? You've been here before, but you know, maybe someone's listening for the first time and
Right.
Tell them about yourself.
I'm doing all right. I am a full-time broadcaster on Twitch, and I primarily stream Elder Scrolls Online. You can find me at twitch.tv/ninja614. I'm also in the process of resurrecting my YouTube channel to start making some content over there to help streamers get off the ground. I realize that there's a lot of good information out there, but there's not a lot of good technical information. So I'm trying to fill that, you know, that little missing area there where there's a place to sort of educate you on how to find the settings for yourself.
There's a big void out there for that. Absolutely.
Yeah, because, you know, doing a video and saying do X, Y, and Z and set it like this doesn't necessarily fit the bill because everybody's situation and gear and internet and all these things are going to be different. So trying to create videos that help you determine what those settings should be based on your stuff, which is way more helpful than just saying set these settings to this and then go. You know what I mean? So
true, man. So true. So again, what's your YouTube? Ninja614 as well?
Yes.
Nice.
Yes,
Awesome. Thank you for joining us once again, taking time out of your schedule.
My pleasure.
Appreciate it very much. Xynode as well is joining us. He has been here before, but he's going to tell you a bit about himself, what he does, where he is, where he's going, what time he's doing it, and all the things such and so forth. Go for it, mate. Welcome, dude.
I do stuff and things.
Yeah, stuff and things. Yeah. It's important.
No, I'm joking. XynodeGaming.com is where all the written guides for my content are. But mostly I create build and guide videos and helpful tutorials for players of all experience levels for the Elder Scrolls Online. Mostly. Sometimes I play other stuff, but it's very, very rare. And I stream live on Twitch and make the videos obviously on YouTube. But full-time content creator all the way through. From the second I wake up to the second I go to bed. You can find my Twitch is, let me remember, /Xynode, and my YouTube is /Xynode Gaming. They are slightly different, but if you Google them, you'll find them both anyway.
Xynode,
but they're all on the website too.
Yep,
that'll work.
I'm trying to remember the two things that I should probably remember quite well.
Just put Xynode and you won't find anything else.
That's true, actually. That is true. Okay, so we had the DLC recently, and again, welcome to both of you. Thank you very much. Make sure you please do go and follow both of these guys. They're very, very awesome. All this stuff is in the description below the audio or below the video, wherever you're watching this on Twitch, YouTube, or if you're listening to Anchor.fm. And really, the reason why I got you two guys, I mean, Xynode does all the dungeon stuff for a start. Like, expert. Ninja's playing that stuff on stream all the time. He's legendary, excelling in all the things. He's done the hard modes, and you know, you both done that, but he's doing it on stream. So yeah. So I thought, who else should I get on the channel other than these two guys? You know, they're the most qualified. Okay, when I went through the list, they were the most qualified. Generally, did you? And it wasn't just, you know, the DLC. There were some updates. You know, we're gonna go through that later. But generally, I mean, this is a bit of a different kind of. They've approached this a little bit differently. You know, if in the past we've talked about, or when you two guys have been on this podcast, we talked about difficulty levels of the dungeons and the like the vet modes, and often with other people that have been on here as well. I think in every podcast we always talk about the difference between the normal and then vet dungeons, and just as a general statement, just to start off, and this is really because I want people who do come in for the first time and they're thinking about how the difficulty of Elder Scrolls online in terms of dungeons, and if they've heard about that kind of content. Do you feel like this is a little bit easier, like normal wise and vet wise, and just a general sense of the two? I know we're gonna go into each dungeon like separately, but I mean, I feel like there was a push to make it a little bit. I'm not calling them easy, but like easier in terms of mechanics. I mean, not mechanics, maybe. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I'm trying to say?
I don't know. I don't know that I would say that. I would say that they are just as difficult as a lot of the other dungeons, but I think they did a way better job this time of creating mechanics where if you learn the mechanics and you execute well, you can win. There's much less RNG in these dungeons, so the fights feel way more like if you're good at the game and you're good at reacting to mechanics, and once you understand how the fight works, you can succeed at it, which feels easier because it's not as punishing. A lot of these previous DLC dungeons, there's so much RNG in some of these fights that it doesn't matter if you did it exactly perfect. If something goes wrong, it's a wipe. So
there's a word for this and I can't think of the word, and it's not easier is not the word. It's like more succinct, more in tune.
It's intuitive because you learn, and if you if you perform what you've learned properly, you'll be rewarded with the completion. Whereas before, I think I agree to that extent, because if you use Mazatun, for example, the last boss in that one, especially hard mode, and you just randomly get someone with a random curse and you've got to try and work around that. One day that might work on someone that can still get heals and everything's fine. Another day it could be the healer and everybody's dead because no one's getting any heals. The whole random side of that, rather than just following the mechanics, is punishable. Whereas the new stuff is not quite as... This could make or break the whole pass. You just follow it. Yeah, so I agree with that. I do think they feel not necessarily easier, but easier to digest than some of the previous ones, because I think for a couple of patches for dungeons, we did kind of go straight in head first, and they were a bit rough. But I think it's on the right level now. I think it's where it should be. Not too difficult, not too easy. Clear mechanics that can be tricky, but like Ninja said already, if you do follow them correctly, you were given the reward of completion. So yeah, I really like it so far. Anyway,
intuitive is the right. Intuitive is definitely the correct phrasing. Rather than easier, intuitive is good because it's like, I don't know. It did feel like there was a main mechanic, and then there might kind of been like an off mechanic, or like two main mechanics in some of these dungeons where you're just like, just generally speaking. And we might as well just go straight into one of the dungeons. I did last night, and I know I went through both, and I wrote down stuff about the story and everything. Bloody hell. And I think when I first go through these dungeons, I kind of like, I do them on vet and I solo pug heal. And I'm like,
good times.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I actually was. It was actually this is the first time I've done it on stream, and I didn't like not that I really stressed that much, to be fair, but like where I had an easier time. Basically, it might actually be because more people played it in PTS, which felt like a thing. Yeah, it was. They kind of knew a little bit about what to do. They kind of worked together. It just felt a little bit better. And that might be because like they're more intuitive, I guess, as well. But yeah, so Unhallowed Grave. Yeah. If names are things wrong, then I'm just a terrible person. But yeah, I mean, do you guys engage in the story very much when you play these dungeons, or is it like, you kind of just want to do the dungeon, you like the mechanics, the difficulty of the vet and the hard mode? Is it about any of the story or anything for you guys, or?
I do for the first time when I'm doing it off stream. If it's on stream, I press it, I say there's a story, I tell people to look at it when they can, and we just go head first straight in and hit stuff. I kind of go through the mechanics and see what happens a lot of the time in pugs as well, rather than focus on the story for the audience. But for myself, if it's kind of time, I pay attention to it. I do my own
you?
achievements second, and then everybody else's stuff first, if that makes sense.
Okay, that's fair. Ninja, what do you
other
do?
than hard mode, I let the achievements happen organically because we do community night dungeons on Fridays. So whenever there's new dungeons, I end up running that a lot. So and depending on who we end up running it with, sometimes we get an all-star team, and when we go in there, a lot of those achievements just happen organically just while you're playing it, rather than so other than specifically heading out for hard mode, I let the other things just kind of happen on their own. Rather, I used to be real hard pressed to get the speed run hard mode, no death, all that stuff, but now I just let it happen naturally because it seems to happen over time. When you're a content creator and you've got to come up with something to do on stream on the regular, I've learned that it's better to treat it as a marathon than a sprint, because if you rush to the end and get everything done, then what?
You run out of stuff.
Yeah.
That's fair. Okay, so I'm going to quickly run through. I'm going to have a look at maybe some bosses, talk about experiences, mechanics, and new stuff that was in the dungeon that may not have been there before. Maybe stuff that could have been done differently. Maybe stuff that was done differently that was excellently executed. It was just great. It was a fantastic experience. Everything is fine. But yeah, this story was pretty good. Obviously we're going Dark Height of Skyrim. We're going Skyrim. It's Greymoor, and now I've actually played Skyrim on stream, and I'm doing my first playthrough. I actually know shit that's going on. Like, I know where I am. I know it's my first playthrough. I know. Don't hurt me.
How was that even a thing?
I know.
How was that even a thing?
I was
Not
just
even
doing.
obsessed. I was playing one MMO. That's what my problem was. you know that life, man. It's like you play one MMO and everything else.
Like 5,000 hours in Skyrim. Something insane like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
years.
How many hours?
I think I have that in Morrowind, not probably Skyrim, but I have a lot in Skyrim still.
Well, I'm doing pretty. I'm really enjoying it, and it's great. And part of the reason is because of because of this. One of the reasons why I've not been in the ESO directory as much. But yeah, I'm loving Skyrim, and it was just like starting to talk about. And I just did the. Actually, I'm not going to say anything because I don't want to spoil. I don't know. Is it spoilers in Skyrim? Actually, and also I don't know how much. Yeah, I'm not even going to talk about Skyrim because I don't want to get spoiled. Because I'm obsessed with that shit. But I'm enjoying it. And anyway, the dungeon on Hollow Grave. And there's a vampire at the beginning. And this was one thing that I thought was very, very awesome. Was there's actually a discussion between between the two NPCs. There's Fenorian, who's a vampire. And there's Shalaria, who is she's one of the guards, I think, of this unhallowed grave dungeon, and they're trying to protect it from people coming in, stealing stuff, taking it away, from things leaving. And this Fenorian's come in, and he's coming to try and like help her because she's been injured or something. But he's a vampire, and she doesn't like vampires, and I was a vampire. So I don't know if you guys played this, being vampires. But there's a different conversation interaction. Like she says, I don't trust vampires. And then you're like, well, I'm a vampire. So, yeah.
So put that in your pipe and smoke
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
I didn't consider that. I didn't consider that because I'm a vampire and everything except for my werewolf, which I haven't taken in there, obviously. And I didn't know there was a difference. So that's interesting.
Apparently. I mean, there must be. I mean, because it says there's a direct option where it says, like, well, I'm a vampire. Okay.
What about if you're not? And do you press "I'm not a vampire" and she screams at you and say "you should be," and then it just loops the text?
I guess there's just not that. I mean, I would just. But the thing is, there was that option with him as well. Like,
That's pretty cool.
It's kind of funny because in Skyrim, everyone says like how you look kind of like a dead in the eyes and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then in like, I think every single person I ever talked to after I started to do the vampire line, it's just like you kind of look, you don't look great. You look dead inside, basically. You know what I mean? And then, like, in ESO, it's just like, although I can't remember. Maybe they do say something. Anyway, I just thought it was an interesting first thing. Like, I've not really seen... I don't know if they've done that in many dungeons where they acknowledge that you're a werewolf or a vampire. Maybe in, like, some of the...
Not that I remember.
I don't know if they did it in the werewolf
Yeah, but once in a while there'll be quest dialogue that acknowledges something that you have done or are or went through. Not a lot, but they do it from time to time.
Yeah, but it was nice to have it in the dungeon actually, especially there. That was pretty cool. I'm wondering if that's going to come out more in like Greymore and the future DLCs. That's what I'm kind of thinking.
I would have thought so, because there was word about being noticed for doing vampire-y stuff. So maybe they're going to introduce a little bit more of that with the overall NPCs to recognize that you're someone naughty, like a necromancer.
Right, yeah.
You're not allowed to do that. How dare you? How dare you have pale skin and red eyes? So maybe.
Yeah. Hopefully. I mean, it's kind of interesting. I mean, this dungeon was all about like necromancers as well. There was like pretty much everything was a necromancer. There's the Dogger King. Is it Drogger King?
I never pronounce it right, so it's no good asking me.
Okay.
Router, Drogger, I don't know.
I say Drogger, but
and American and English, and I'm learning that there's many different more spellings, especially as I write more papers. Proceed. Jesus Christ. But
well, I mean, you got to be used to it. You Brits, just like the Australians, you just make words up on the fly.
What do you mean we make? We're the originators of these words. God damn.
You know that.
Ninja's trying to trigger me. This is terrible. Even if it makes sense, okay? I don't care.
Colonial English, best English, just saying.
Okay, so it's the Pile Watch who are trying to protect this burial site. And these necromancers start to steal these urns. I think it's the urns they mainly get away with, right? And they're trying to take them out of the dungeon. But there's these grave guardians. Is it the grave guardians of the Pile Watch? These guys who kind of are defending the actual dungeon itself, but I think the necromancers, the Drogakin or whatever they're bloody called, they come in and they steal this lantern, which helps them get through the entire dungeon, so they don't have to deal with anything, like any of these mobs, and they can just go and kind of take all the stuff they can take. But you don't have this power to allow you to go through, so you should, the NPCs we have to go through and kill all this stuff to find out what's
hard
going
way.
On. Yeah, the hard way. That's exactly what she pretty much says. And I thought that was really good, actually. Really, it's kind of a simple story. It's nothing too complicated. Even I can get it. And it was just kind of cool. It was just like, yeah, these guys are kind of in this dungeon, and you've got to kind of defeat these guardians who are there because you kind of put them there, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, I found that quite cool, I guess. I'm trying to have a look at what they said exactly. There's so much information. Oh yeah, that's right. And basically, there's this idea between both dungeons that there's this person in the background that's kind of sponsoring these people in different ways, like supplying, like sending them on these excavations to bring all these urns out of unhallowed grave, and then for the other dungeon as well, there's some patron, I think they say, who's like kind of helping these witches and stuff. And so there's all this. I think they're both linked in this sense that there's someone in the background and we don't know who it is that's trying to gain all this power, right? But this dungeon brought in the grappling mechanic.
Batman.
Again. Yeah, Batman? Yeah, I guess so. I never thought about that, actually. What did you guys think about that?
Oh, man, it's disgusting. Absolutely amazing. Love it.
Oh, right. I was like, disgusting.
So fun.
I thought it was like, is it terrible?
Sick, bro.
No, it is one of the coolest mechanics that they've ever brought into the game. I can't believe that they put it in there to that extent. I knew we were going to get some more of it. It's obvious when they give us something new, even if it's in a quest, we're going to see it again. So it's like, oh, we're seeing this again. But to that extent, inside difficult mechanics was just 10 points. That was nuts. They have an extra difficult one too, which Ninja's seen. Are we allowed to spoil secrets? How many people already know them? I'll just say there's one where you have to double jump. I'll just call it that.
Yeah, I love that.
Oh man, it was filth.
Okay,
That's
so
cool.
there's
and you get to do it in the middle of the fight too. That's the best part about it.
Funny. That's funny. Okay, so if you don't know what we're talking about, what there is there's this new mechanic where there's a pole that's sticking out of the ground. You press, or it could be from horizontally from a rock, which that was pretty cool. And you basically press E or whatever your activation button is. This little grappling hook kind of comes out, like Xynode said, a bit like Batman's grappling hook. Good description actually. and you press the button, and you zip line to this thing, and it could be below you, it could be above you, to the right, to the left, or you may need to jump to get that extra distance, or it may be below you, and you just have to press E at the right time to make sure that you don't fall down this massive chasm to your death. And yes, there is that. But it's part of, in this dungeon specifically, it is part of the secret. There's a secret pathway which you have to go. Well, which you can go down, which can give you different options. I don't think it's going to be spoiling, because if people don't know, then there's a secret thingy now. And by killing all these bosses through the secret pathway, you can get access to this door. Now, unfortunately, last night I kind of did that secret pathway for the first time, and I didn't realize that I didn't know what a boss escapes, so that you can't actually do it. And so I didn't get through that door in the end. But at the end of the actual secret pathway. But they've not done this before, have they? Where there's like a full, or have they? Or in a way?
They had a
Kind of.
similar
In March of Sacrifices.
Yeah,
They had a little
with
side secret-y thing. Yeah.
True. But like it
wasn't as well. They did have once it disappears, you fail, and you can't get it until the next time. But they didn't make it quite as hidden. So before you used to follow the wisps. Now you have to physically find the right path, and some of that's really, really not obvious.
You didn't know it was there. I mean,
yeah, there's no way.
Yeah,
99% of the people would miss it.
Correct. Yeah. So I think they've hidden it a lot better. They have bounced off of the March of Sacrifices stuff, but I think they enhanced it quite a bit. This is unique in its own right, although we have had side stuff before. It's bloody cool though.
Yeah,
Mucho bettero, as they say
Definitely.
in France.
I thought it was great that you had this, like, it was not only that they added so basically this secret path, you find the secret path, you go down the way, you take the grappling hook points, you fight a boss, and then after the first boss, it was like, okay, now you get this buff. So when you use the grappling hook, anything you pass through, you do damage to, or there's some kind of effect that's applied. I can't remember what it's called. Oh no, it's actually here. I'll find it later. But basically, I can't remember what it's called. I wrote it down as well. There we go. Forgotten Strength buff for the grapple, damaging enemies passed through and at the grapple point, and as well as when you're passing through them, I think as well. Weapon and spell damage is increased by 275, and Necros get additional buff of 325 damage.
Yes,
there's
Necros get boosted.
Like
yeah.
what?
Yeah, because March of
boosted.
Sacrifice. March of Sacrifice, it was the werewolves that got boosted, but everyone else got like a minor. This one is necromancers, so it encourages you to use the class in there.
Yeah, so that's like, is that, with that in mind, is that good?
I mean, it's
Everyone gets
I think
buffed.
it's neat.
Yeah.
I don't think it matters much, but it's just a neat little thingy.
It's like, I'm stronger than you, I'm a necromancer.
Yeah.
No, you're not.
I'm
I am.
curious if we can pull off a 4 DPS necromancer run
On the hard
in
mode.
there and do hard mode. I'm curious if we could outpace the mechanics with 4 DPS and no real tank. I would like to try that at some point.
Of course you could.
Because if you got 4 baller necromancer DPS in there with these buffs, the DPS potential is ridiculous.
The content creator cogs are spinning right now, aren't they?
The only difficult one is going to be the final boss, because he has a couple mechanics that even with the tank full blocking with, max mitigation and high health, takes you down to a quarter health. It's that hand thing that comes out of the ground. It hits you so freaking hard, and the tell for it is easy to miss. I miss it all the time. I still can't quite get the rhythm. So until I get that mastered, and whoever's doing that, like, people are going to get wrecked.
Right.
That's the only stumbling block I see for doing a legit 4 DPS, run with necromancers with no real tank. That final boss on hard mode, he does a couple things that are just brutal. Brutal.
It is fun. Okay, cool. Yeah, I like that additional thing, because I forgot about the March of Sacrifices buff, actually. So I thought it was like, and I wasn't playing Necromancer, so I was healing on my Templar. So I was like, damn it. I actually don't think we had a Necro, but still, it was cool. So the grapple line actually changes as well buff. It kind of looks like it's a wavy blue black line thing. I don't know, that kind of surrounds the grapple line. It looks cool anyway. But yeah, so the bosses wise, any favorite boss from this dungeon specifically? Or is there like there's 5 main bosses?
I think
I
think my favorite. Oh shit! Hit my microphone. I think my favorite, apart from the last boss, because he shows everyone how to be a proper necromancer, because we can't summon anything nowhere near that big.
Yeah, like
What is it? Outcast calls it the Big Papa on his website.
It's massive, dude.
Big Daddy Bone.
Him,
Yeah.
mine's the secret mid-air grappling hook fight. I don't remember what the name of the boss is called, but that one's my favorite just for that mechanic.
Her name starts with a V. It's like
What? Sorry.
Very dead if you don't grapple hook.
Very the name of the buff
very
you get
cool.
for it is her name.
Oh, great. Then the one boss which I didn't write the name down for, that would be the one.
That one's probably cool. I don't know. The kiln one's quite cool as well.
Yes.
They're all good in their own right. The
The
kiln one's very
Keeper
unique.
of the Kiln, Eternal Aegis, Ondegor the Mad.
Eternal Ages is cool, but it's not one of my favorites.
That's the spinning dude.
Yeah.
The spinning dude.
From
So
the Thieves Guild.
I actually thought that was quite interesting because I did this on Vet the first day, and I was surprised how we actually were able to navigate this boss as a veteran group just going in for the first time, because it was kind of like, you know, there was 2 options. So this boss, when you approach him, this the third boss, Eternal Aegis, he does a heavy attack, but the main mechanic is like this big AoE circle, this spinny. It's kind of a spin to win boss, right? And there's got this one safe area which is in the middle, but this spawns like smaller versions of him, like spawn onto each member of the party. So you can either deal with it yourself, deal with your one yourself, or, you know, once everyone else has killed theirs, they come and kill yours. Or you can all just stack on top of each other and run the risk of just wiping, which is infinitely fun. Because it was like we were doing this boss on Vet and it was taking a bit of time. It was just like, why don't we just stack on each other? And so we just did this thing. And like people just died in the first try, but then we just kept trying to do it like that because it was just infinitely better, like more efficient. But yeah, that was fun. I kind of like that. But it was just one mechanic, I guess, really, other than the tank kind of having to block. Was there anything else major in that fight?
No,
I
that
can't
was a
remember.
fairly straightforward one in comparison to some of the others. But
Yeah.
that was done to give you a bit of a break halfway through some of the more complex ones, because the Kiln one and the Lich guy, they can be quite challenging.
Oh
Ooh.
boy, did I have fun watching streamers try to get past the kiln boss.
The Kiln
Oh,
boss.
And
Yeah.
I've talked to the devs about it. They're like, it is so difficult to get players to look up.
Yep.
They're like,
Definitely.
how there's like everybody's so consumed with the ground that
It's
they
so true though, dude.
just don't think to look up. Yeah.
Dude, it's so true. Like, yes, I've been through there, and we went trying to get through one of the doors because at the beginning, because it starts to try and teach you about these sigils, and it does actually introduce that, right? The fact that you are going to have to look up. And I was like, "Where's the sigil on the floor? Like, I can't see it to open this
Right.
door."
Because you had to jump up
It was just up
to a
there.
grapple to get through one of the doors.
Exactly.
So it told you exactly what you needed to do to find the sigils.
And then someone's up there already. I'm like, whoa, this guy is fucking OP. And I don't know where this thing is. And I was like, okay, I remember I actually did this before. And it was so funny. You're so right, though. I think it's like just an MMO player thing, right? We're used to dealing with one level. And there's not many MMOs that deal with verticality. I know Guild Wars 2 introduced a load of this stuff back in the day, but then they kind of went back to this kind of one level system because people just found it difficult. Because like you said, you know, nobody likes to look up and down too much. And yeah, I actually really like
or they just don't think to.
Mm.
I actually love it. I think it's really cool to have these. It makes the fights feel so much more dynamic when you have this idea, like all through that dungeon. I think they did a really good job of using the grapple so that it felt fun and important and part of the thing, and not like just there for the sake of being there.
Yeah, definitely.
It's important because it's like a big mechanic for them, isn't it? Like it would have taken a lot of work. It had to be coming up somewhere where it was kind of key and important, and that was very cool. Okay, cool. Yeah, that kiln boss was definitely one of the tougher ones when you first go in there if you don't look at a guide or anything, because I definitely didn't look at a guide. I don't like looking at guides anyway until I want to try and find out a better way of doing something if I've not got it. But last night I reminded myself about the dungeon, and it was just like, and because I was tanking as well, I was like, I'm in a different role now. I'm literally on the floor. That's where I'm kind of staying, and everyone else has got the response. So that's actually a lot where the teamwork comes in of your party as well. And I guess it depends how you do it. There's probably better ways of doing it. You guys have probably worked out. But like 3 members, if you don't know what I'm talking about, basically the floor has the potential of being set on fire, or it will get set on fire. And these sigils on the ground, and basically someone has to go up top using the grapple system. They have to click this sigil, and you have to guide the boss over to this sigil, which is on the floor, and they kind of dig their sword into the ground, right? And then that stops. It doesn't protect the area, but it stops the fire from venting up, right?
Yeah. Yep. It's like a switch, turns it off.
Yeah. Otherwise, the whole ground is on fire. And the first time, what happened with you guys when the first time you went in there? Like, I mean, you might have done this on the PTS, but what was it like?
Tank was not sure where to go. Everybody else turned into toast.
Yeah. Well, they got put. I thought
it took us a minute. It took us a minute to figure it out until somebody realized there was a grapple thing, and then the light bulb came off because they went up there and they saw, oh, I bet you the sigils are up here that were, But then it took me, the first time I went through, I was tanking, and it took me a minute to understand then, all right, well, that's neat. The sigil is lit up. What do we do with it? I didn't realize, it took me a minute to understand that you just basically had to position the boss there so that they would do a thing. I felt like there was something I was supposed to do down there other than just position the boss. Like, what am I supposed to click on? Where's the thing? Like, what is the button? And then all of a sudden on accident it was like, oh, she does the thing. So it took a minute to figure it out.
But
it's pretty good for a tank fight too, because you're a lot more mobile in comparison to some of the other fights that you see in other dungeons. You don't have to just stand there and hold block.
So many ads in that fight.
Yeah, exactly. There is. I think there is a ton of ads that spawn as well, which is nice. Because it means you got some kind of action of pulling him around, and not necessarily jumping onto your party as well, because they might be up top trying to get this sigil or find it or whatever.
They pull you down too.
Yes,
they pull you down up top.
That's the major thing. I don't think it happens in normal. Vet, no, it definitely happens in Vet, but I don't think it actually happens in normal. And yeah, that was fun. Because it's like you're just up there randomly, and if you all go up too late, it's just like instant wipe. It's like maybe the healer can like push you through a little bit, but you're not surviving that if they run out of magic, I guess.
Yeah, it gets to a certain point where everybody just takes a massive tick and you're dead.
Yep.
Hilarious.
Doesn't matter what you're doing.
Great boss. Really good boss, actually. A little frustrating in the beginning, but if it's not frustrating and you haven't got to learn it, I think sometimes it's not as fun.
But again, once you learn the mechanic, it's easy to do because if you execute it, you know what I mean? And that's what I loved about it. It was at first seemed like impossible and totally confusing, but then once you figured it out, if you execute it well, it's easy.
Yeah, and it is literally not that difficult, like you say, and it's not really RNG based at all, really, is it? That's all. Well, I mean, other than where the sigil spawns,
apart from where the sigil is, but again, like Ninja said, if you do follow exactly where it goes to and you do exactly as you're supposed to, you'll be fine.
Yeah. And that wasn't the only boss where the new grappling mechanic was involved as well. There was more. There was the
Lich.
Fourth boss. Yeah. Is that the Ondagore, the mad grappling points?
That's really fun.
Yeah, that's a good
We've already
boss.
Discovered a way to skip basically most of that, though.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Okay.
And it's not even an exploit. It's just, you're just clever use of the stages of the fights. Yeah.
You can just DPS for a stage?
Yeah, well, now what do you want me to tell you?
I mean,
do we want to spoil you? Do you want to know how you do it?
I mean, I've done it
one
on
round where you have to jump around and where you have to grapple around and kill the ghost on the outside. But then when you come back and he does that thing where you have to hide behind the pillars, you kill all but one of the ghosts. You leave the one ghost up, and then you just DPS him and hide behind the pillars in between when he does his AOE, and you never have to do the thing around the thing again. You just keep one ghost up.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's not bad. I mean,
then you could just totally avoid having to do the rest of it, which if you're pressed for time and you're trying to do speed run, there you go. I just shaved off a couple minutes for you.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. Okay, maybe we want to try that in the future. But yeah, it's still good. At least you have to do it once, I guess. Still have to do it once. Maybe.
Yeah.
You do.
You got to do the first time to get him into that phase where he does where you got to hide behind the pillars and the ghosts. What is it? 4 ghosts around the outside, and then every time he rises up for the AOE, you hide behind the pillars. You just keep one ghost up, and then just peek out from the pillars to DPS, and then hide, and then jump out, and then you just avoid that whole thing. So, however, the devs were watching when we did that on stream last time. So, anticipate the potential for a patch update at some point.
It's not something they intended to have as a potential thing.
Or maybe they did. Maybe but Finn is a big one. Like, he's all like, if I had wanted you to DPS the boss here, I would have made it that way.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have added the mechanics in the first place.
That's why I like him, because he thinks about this kind of thing, and it's like, no.
Yeah,
no.
so they may find a counter for that in the future.
Okay. We'll see. I wonder if he's around somewhere. Someone tweet him and ask him to come in and tell us. But yeah, I think I'm not going to talk too much about the story. I just decided, but in different parts, just very generally. This story, it wasn't actually tons of text all the way through. It was a lot at the beginning, and then it was more like mini cutscenes that you could kind of see occurring around you, which was quite cool. But yeah, generally, the grapples were involved in a lot of them, actually. Even just getting to the secret pathways, getting to those bosses. But the last boss was it? I can't say this. Kalnar Tombskald, whatever his name is. And this
you tried it, I didn't.
Sorry?
I would never get the names right.
Kjalnar Tombskald.
Yeah. That's it.
That seems right. Kjalnar.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Sounds right to me.
Big Papa.
Yeah, Big Papa. They really, I mean, we probably all did this, like, massive gasp when you first see this massive necromantic flipping skeleton. It's a bigger version of, like, the Colossus, right? That's kind of what it looks like.
Yeah, it's a giant bone Colossus.
Yeah. What was it like when they first saw that?
Dude, it was insane, because I know he's going to raise something.
Yeah.
I know he's going to have a skeleton or something or other, and he just raised this massive giant, like, oh, come on.
Yeah. The bone colossus of all. It's a bone colossus made out of bone colossus.
Yeah, it's enormous.
So cool.
I think it's the biggest thing I've ever seen in ESO, right? Or Skyrim, maybe.
Oh, it's massive. I thought we had a necromancer last year. We got these cool skills. We can turn into a bone Goliath. How cool! And then you just look up really slowly.
Makes the bigger one.
I am not cut out for this. You're not good enough.
Oh god, that's when size really does matter, right? Just like Jesus.
The bigger bones.
Yeah, you're just I really do want to get just a screenshot and just like bone Colossus up and just be like, yeah, damn. But I don't think I did feel. Do you think he's very impactful in the fight? I think he's quite impactful.
It does interact with the group and negatively messes them up a bit. I mean.
There's a lot going on in that fight, and particularly in hard mode. And so in the middle of all the craziness is going on, now you have this roll dodge or block that has to happen in between all of that. It can be tricky, and if you're a Magicka DPS or, with or healer with low stam, it can be particularly rough because you've added one more thing that you have to roll dodge or block through, and amidst a bunch of other things you have to roll dodge or block through. So yeah, I think if they had made it any more impactful, it would have put the fight into another realm of difficulty that, a lot of players would be screwed, But I mean, like it added just enough wow and distraction and one more layer of difficulty without taking it over the edge, I thought.
Yeah. I think distraction definitely, because it's quite an intimidating enemy to
Right.
even see, let alone know what the hell it's doing. So yeah,
Yeah.
I think there's enough going on.
It's pretty damn fun.
Interestingly enough, though, in March of Sacrifices, when you went through and got the side buffs, when you did hard mode, those side buffs fell off. But in this one,
They
you
don't
keep them.
Oh, you
Mhm.
keep them on hard mode as well.
Yeah, so doing hard mode
Ah.
without the buffs is extremely difficult
Ooh, so that's extra hard. Is
if you really want to push yourself. Yeah.
awesome. Okay. Sweet as. I didn't think about that actually. Yeah, like maybe there could be an extra achievement for that. I don't know.
I don't know. I didn't see one,
I
but
think
yeah.
that-
It could be. Do it without like the extra DPS buffs. Could be interesting. Okay, so we're kind of done with that dungeon. Was there anything else that kind of missed that you enjoyed from that dungeon specifically? Like any bosses or mechanics that you wanted to mention at all?
It's
think
my
it's
favorite of
it.
the two.
It's your
Because
favorite
it
of the
felt
two?
like you were exploring a zone more than you were doing like a dungeon. It literally felt like
Yeah.
you were doing like an epic zone kind of thing with
Also,
a small
like-
band of adventurers as opposed to just doing a dungeon. It was
Yeah.
it's really cool.
Oh,
The one thing I did like, which is not going to be too much of a spoiler because there's nothing there to spoil, they were very clever about the secret door, about what's behind it, because it's not on the map.
Yeah.
You can't look at the map and go, oh, I wonder how big that room is, and I can wonder if I can guess what's in there. Nope, no spoilers.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Okay.
It's a magic door.
It is.
It's a magic door.
I thought it was also cool because it was another clever use of the grapples.
Yes.
You know, to that now you've powered up your grapples to do damage, and that's really the only way to get your the slimes to split. So unless you just ignore all that and you have enough DPS that you can just sit there and burn, that's another strategy.
We nuked it by accident. We were
Yeah.
just like, hit stuff.
Yeah, but if you have slower DPS, the
don't do
slimes will outnumber you if you don't use the grapples strategically to pare them down, because otherwise those slimes have way too much health for you
It's
to try
stupid, like 11 mil or something.
Yeah.
Some of those. Crazy.
Okay, so this is if you're listening or you're watching the stream and you don't know, and you're like, "What's this door?" Basically, you have to kill all the bosses through the secret pathway to get through this door, which I've not been through yet, but that's fine. I will be. I'll be getting through that door. And then there's this boss afterwards.
Oh my
And
gosh, you haven't seen that fight yet?
I haven't seen it yet. No, I haven't seen it yet.
my
I've
goodness.
done the dungeon, like, yeah, I've been in Skyrim and like everywhere at the moment. It's crazy. But yeah, we kind of ran through it last night and then didn't realize that this boss would vanish. So that was the problem, because we were doing the secret path and the boss vanished. And I was like, oh damn, we're not gonna be able to do this last bit. So I was just like, I'll just do it whenever. But yeah, you have to kill all these secret bosses to get through this magical door, and if you run up to it, you actually just get like pretty much, you get one shot or you get down to like 10% HP.
Which is hilarious.
And the first time we were trying to
off it.
work out how to do
There
it,
is no death.
it was just like, yeah, oh god, just accidentally, oh yeah, sure, oh, damn. But yeah, so yeah, I got to get myself through that door at some point. But really, really awesome. Yeah, that was probably my favorite of the two. The second dungeon was a little bit more was a little bit more
faster.
standard. It was quicker. It was quicker.
Yeah.
But at the end of that first dungeon on Holy Grove, you basically find out that there's this patron who sent the necromancer, the Draugr King, in there to pull out all his urns to basically get something done to get this power. And what was that? Oh, that's it. Vorious Sanctum is the door. Is that the door? Is that the thingy? What's Vorious Sanctum?
That's the last special
That's
secret
the last
thingy.
special secret thingy. Okay, cool. But yeah, and then there's Ice Reach. Cool. It was enjoyable. I liked it when you first got in there. There were some really, really good parts about this dungeon. Obviously, I'll get towards those very, very shortly. But what's the story? This guy got they got kind of shipwrecked there, right? They were sailing, and then they had to find a place to land, and they landed at this ice reach, and you're like, there was a lot of story to this actually at the beginning specifically. What was it? The witches were cast out of Cyrodiil, and they were supporting this. What was it? King Leov? Is it Leovic or Leovich? Can't remember what he said or how he said it. Anyway, there's basically these witches are bad people. They're not, they're not great. Same voice actress, I think, from one of the dungeons previously. Can't remember which one. Is where the Earthgore armor is from. Name? What's the name of that dungeon?
Bloodroot Forge.
There you go. That bloody boss with the bushes that spawn up and horribleness.
Oh, the Hagraven?
Yes.
Yeah, same voices and everything for that.
Good lord. That was annoying the first time. But yeah, basically this guy Avnir, he is stranded there with the rest of his the people from his expedition or whatever. And they're all pretty much dead. And I think he's kind of got away and is like, there might be some of my crew left in there. And you work your way through, and he talks about one survivor, and you don't know who it is, and you get towards the dungeon, and Lyris is in there. And
it's my
just
girl.
Like, yeah,
with a giant axe.
Wicked. Yeah, with a giant axe, right? She holds that. I got to one of the bosses, and she was holding her axe like in her hands, like this. And I was just like, man, you don't have that. You don't do that, do you? Like, no one else does that. I was just like, I want to hold my axe like that.
When you first run into her and you hear that one NPC yell, the bear woman's coming. And then she starts one-shotting dudes.
Amazing.
Oh my god, it's so good.
Mm-hmm.
So good.
And she's a half giant, right?
Yeah.
Half giant. So she's quite a tall lady. She's awesome. In this. I think she's the thing that makes the dungeon, I guess, a lot more engaging.
Yeah, the comeback of that character is pretty big impact. And especially the cutscenes, if you like, as well, where you're on one side, she's on. You're like, oh, I've got all these enemies coming up. She's like, well, my room's empty. Go and do some work.
Yeah, right.
Kind of
yeah.
thing.
I'm over here wrecking
dungeon.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
So
and go and smash some more faces.
That's
right. Then she runs off and goes around the corner. If you stay and watch for a minute, she runs off and goes around the corner, and you'll see this dude fly from around the corner, onto his back. It's fantastic. So good.
It is very awesome. And that was because I think we knew. Did we know this was going to happen before?
We knew Lyris was, based on the teaser trailer, we saw Lyris, so we knew she was going to be part of the storytelling, much like Sai was in the Season of Dragons storyline. So
did we know she would be in the dungeon specifically? I can't remember.
Oh yeah, I didn't know that she, but I was
in the dungeon.
That was a cool surprise, to actually run into her in active combat, in part of some content. So yeah, that was cool.
So if you don't know who Lyris is and you're listening or watching for the first time, she's part of the main storyline, and you could actually kill her off, right? So
I never did.
You didn't have the heart
so I could have a chance with Lyris.
You were like, well, there's only one bald companion here.
Oh, sorry about your boy, Lyris, but what you doing tomorrow night?
Yeah, that was the question before you picked, right? I was like, if she denies me, she's dying. It's like, she's the one I'm picking, and she's going to be sacrificed. Anyway, and if not, then Sai's going, and it's going to be fine. So wait, did we ever find out? Did we find out before or any other time, like, if she was the one you killed in the main storyline? Like, did we ever find out how she came back? Like, if there's anything to do with that? Or do you think this is going to be something in Greymore? Or is... Because I'm like, what if you did kill her? Or does anyone really care? Does it matter?
Well, like, if you killed Sai, all he did was basically tell you that he woke up one day and basically the god of time, Akatosh, willed him back. So I'm assuming it's something of that nature. Because magic.
That's a good excuse, actually, yeah.
Magic is the answer. Everything from any Bethesda game. If you can't explain it, it's magic.
Yeah, because magic.
The song comes on.
Yeah.
I can't remember. Do you believe in magic?
Oh no.
That would be epic. I think I need to get that as a sound effect. But yeah, I think that's one thing, that one part of the story I'm just like, yeah, maybe a little tiny cutscene or something would have been nice. Because what if you did do the main story and you're like, you know, that would have been cool.
They killed all of them at some point.
Mm.
Prophet had to die first. He keeps turning up in awkward situations, asking me to go to a cave. I had to kill him first.
Just the oldest. I was just like, you've lived your life, man. That was my whole thing. I was just like, you're just old, you know, you can die. You've had your business. I don't know.
Interestingly enough, the devs did let us know that Lyris is the least sacrificed of all companions.
Really?
In that quest line.
Why are you so really for? Why are you so surprised? You thought the most?
Oh, the prophet. Yeah, the prophet, obviously.
Yeah.
He's because everybody's all like, it's your fault anyway, bro. You're going.
Exactly.
There's no way Abnafan got killed the most.
You can't kill
you
him.
can't kill
so...
Oh no, you can't kill Abnafan. You can only kill what's his face. Saisahan.
Otherwise, you're not doing shit.
Yeah. Otherwise,
you can't do
I
it.
would have always killed Abnatharn. I would have never not killed Abnatharn.
Never kill Ab. If you could, I wouldn't. Well, I don't think he was one of them for a second. No,
I mean, he was, but he was the one.
So convenient. He's like, you can't sacrifice me because I'm the only one who knows how to do the magic spell. And I'm like, well, teach somebody the spell, bastard.
He's the smallest Imperial in the world.
No one is as strong as Abnatharn.
Do you know what the best part about the actual main story, slightly off that, is when Abnatharn gets punched in the face by Lyris.
So good.
Get off me, you brutish.
Decks him. So good.
Brutish she-troll, and she just decks him on the ground.
She knocks him flat, and I giggle every time. It's so good.
The main story is great.
It's brilliant.
Really
the first time I saw it, I actually, laughed out loud because it was so good. Yes, do it again, Lyris.
I haven't done the main story for a bit. I think I'll probably end up doing it for Greymore, or just before Greymore again. I'll probably do the main story. I kind of like doing it.
There's a lot of skill points in it as well as a refresher.
Oh yeah,
so
I think there's like.
I mean, I did it like 7 times across characters. I think.
Is it 8 to 12 skill points or something? I can't remember.
It's quite a few.
Yeah, I've done it many times.
I need to give it a bash. Kill Lyris off. See what happens. I think she's the only one I haven't sacrificed yet. But yeah, Ice Reach. So, back to the conversation. It was Lyris's fault. We started talking about her. So yeah, bosses. There wasn't anything like crazy. There wasn't like no grappling in this. There wasn't any crazy new stuff involved. The first boss I kind of liked is it Tiag or something he's called.
The giant?
Yeah.
He had a different mechanic as far as the taunt was concerned. But he was still pretty much kind of big dude kill him.
Kite.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
As a tank though, for the first time
different.
In range, and I got one shot through block with a light attack. I was like, oh, we have to stay away from that.
The enrage, yeah.
Yeah, he's like a truck.
I don't know even if you get one shotted on normal, because I just did normal last night. My little crappy tank.
You hit very hard.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
Really hard.
You have to run away, just range taunt and run away until he's done being mad. Yep.
And then re-engage. So when he slams down, and also you get those ice atronachs that spawn, right? And I know I don't know if this. I didn't read the guide. I just assumed that when he does his big slam on the floor AOE, that it kills those atronachs in the corner.
Only if the atro it hasn't come out of the floor yet, and you can position him in a way that the atro's like little head sticking out of the ground is within his AOE.
Right.
That's the only way you can do it. Once they're fully out of the ground and walking around, the ice atros have to be burned down. And there's an achievement if you allow 3 of them to spawn before you kill the boss.
Ooh,
and have 3 of them still up. We did that one.
So like the Jeff mechanic in Banished Cells 2. You have to have 3 of them alive at the end.
Yeah.
Just keep running around and slow DPS until he gets 3 of them up, and then you've got to wrangle them away so that you can kill him and leave those 3 out.
Poor healer.
It's pretty cool.
Tank, actually. Jesus, a lot of work today. Yeah, that. I did actually like that boss. Again, not like massively complicated mechanics, but once you, like Ninja said earlier, once you got it nailed down, boom.
Yeah.
You're there. You're done.
Right.
Yeah, really, really good. Yeah, I actually didn't write that much down for this dungeon. I don't know if it was because like you guys like. I mean, was this which one was your favorite, Xynode? Ninja said the first one was. Grave.
I'm gonna say that Unhallowed Grave is probably my most favorite out of the two if I had to choose one. But I like the fact that they have introduced a kind of fast-paced one alongside of it because that is very, very long.
Yeah.
Story driven obviously as well. There's a lot there to do, and it's nice to have both in the same DLC, but one of them is just a bit quicker than the other, just so you get in, get out. So I don't dislike either of them, but I think that one's my that's my burn dungeon versus the mechanics one, if you like.
Yeah, because there's a lot more. I think there's more like ads between. There's like more mobs between bosses as well. I don't know actually.
I think the main difference on Ice Reach versus any other real dungeons is that your most mechanics that you really see they usually are on the last boss, but that's when it's really serious stuff. The rest of them you can kind of just pug straight through and you'll just pick it up along the way. You go up against a kiln boss, however, you don't know what you're doing, you're dead. There's no way around it. You can't just wing it. Whereas some of these ones you can.
That's true actually. That is very true.
They're a bit more forgiving for newer groups, put it that way.
You can see everything that's going on as well, and you don't have to look up, right?
Yeah,
that's pretty much
that's
the reason.
true.
Yeah. Any boss in this dungeon specifically, which you guys found specifically awesome for any reason?
I kind of like.
I didn't see anything that made me be like
the last one.
Yeah, I mean the last one obviously is a pretty interesting fight, particularly on hard mode.
I like the shield effects. That visual is really cool. They added that to the monster helmet as well.
Yeah.
Which is the dome type damage shield, which coats your character. You look like you're in a glass.
Which is currently
cover for a flower.
Once it procs, it has a tendency to stay on.
I was gonna say, I've seen people running around with that on nothing.
It's
like, how did you get that? That looks so good.
Stuck in a bubble.
Yeah. It's like, okay, sorry about that. Yeah, that
I like
was
the
cool.
amount of interrupts required on the last boss, because one of the main things that people forget to do, and this is one of the reasons for my guides as well, is that people do the tutorial, they listen to it, and then 2 minutes later they've forgotten. And some of the stuff you get taught in there is essential for some of the hardest stuff in the game. And
I mean,
that
the main
particular
mechanics
fight at the end has got loads of stuff. It's really nice.
How do you interrupt the 4 guys in the bubble on the final boss? Yeah, when you just have to interrupt them, and it's like party member can go to each one, and it's like, oh, I guess like I think you can get to it if you've got 2 people running around interrupting. You could probably do it, but like still, it doesn't make it any easier. It's like, how do you interrupt again? Yeah, that's the thing that I kind of have to do, and that's kind of a majorly important mechanic in the entire game. Yeah,
Where's my bash button?
Yeah. I mean, people forget, right? If they don't do this kind of very often. But yeah, I mean that they add the mechanics on hard mode there. So on normal, there is the spinny fire thing, which I'm trying to remember what it's called, but basically the last boss adds some of the mechanics from the previous bosses, and then hard mode is like all of them, or is like
you
one.
get the mini.
Yeah, the giant too.
That's
right.
Each one. So you know, like without hard mode, then you just face the witches. With it, you get the witches and there, because if you notice when you fight the previous bosses, the witches, one of the sisters is kind of like standing off, observing, and is like assisting the fight. So like you have the big giant dude with the atros, and then you have the fire ring and the stranglers where she spawns those, and then you have the lightning guy with a 2-hander dude you got to deal with, and then I forget what the other one was, but hard mode. Of the two, I thought the hard mode on this one was a little bit more challenging because it felt like there was a little bit more RNG here. There were a couple situations where if the wrong person at the wrong time had some of these things proc on them in hard mode, it could quickly domino into a wipe, because once you have more than one person down, trying to res with all of the things that are interrupting you becomes almost impossible. So it's almost like you can't afford anybody to die during hard mode at all, or you are screwed.
I think there is an element of that I agree with. Personally, myself, that one, I actually preferred that hard mode in terms of its difficulty. But you are right. If you screw up, there's no coming back from it. You've got to make sure everyone's really coordinated.
Yeah.
And especially that interrupt mechanic as well. If someone just runs around and tries to do it all themselves, I mean, you might get away with it occasionally, but you're not likely to. People have to work together quite hard on that one. There's not many windows opportunity to recover from.
No. Yeah. Even
if you block ulti, you get pushed around a room and you're like, what the hell?
Yeah. If you're so oftentimes I was the tank and I would have everybody dead but myself, and it was GG. I would try, I'd throw a magma and I'd try to get a res, but something would bump me or, interrupt me or stun me, or, it was just you couldn't get a res off.
You can do it with the block ultimate, but there's a couple of mechanics in there that even though you're blocking, they'll still push you. So you can't get them up.
So you get, yeah, because you didn't technically get interrupted, but you still got moved, which cancels the res.
Exactly.
Yeah. So unless you're a necromancer tank with the res ulti, you're kind of screwed.
I love that ultimate.
Yeah. Such a good progression class.
Yes, it is.
Like, we're learning, so keep the ultimate generation high so we can res.
Yeah, that's it. That's it indeed. So yeah, I mean, that dungeon, fairly straightforward. I kind of like the zombies running around, like when you're running through the corridors and there's like
exploding zombies.
Yeah. 15,
they're funny as hell. I saw someone take a one shot from those.
Yeah.
They came running down the stairs and you had a DPS.
Right. You come around the corner and they just come down in mass and boom.
Oh, dude, he was trying to run ahead of the tank. He was just, bye. It was awesome.
So funny.
I like those.
That was pretty
Let
damn
the tank
good.
go first. I think that's what that is. That's the anti-YOLO mechanic.
Yeah,
if you run ahead of the tank, you're dead.
The anti-YOLO. Oh man, that was actually it could have been a cheeky call out there, some kind of story. Make sure the tank goes first, and just get wrecked.
Definitely.
Good stuff. Okay, so the boss's dungeon, very good. Again, towards the end of the dungeon, or right at the end, Lyris is like talking to her. She's like, I've got to go back to Windhelm. I've got to warn the Skald King about this. And that she's, we're in Skyrim. We're all going towards, I guess Windhelm and other places, Greymore, blah, 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 etc. Greymore. Sell that expansion. The chapter. We're going. I mean, it's the next thing that's coming out, right? It's in June.
Next one's Greymore, yeah.
Yeah.
June 6th.
Yeah, 6th June on console.
May 18th for PC. June 6th or June 2nd? I think it's June 2nd for console.
Oh, June 2nd.
It's the official release.
June 2nd, is it? I always get the date wrong. I know console get it early, don't they? Not console, sorry. PC.
PC gets it May 18th, and console gets it June 2nd.
Jesus, that's so soon.
2nd, not 6th. Yeah, it is soon, man. It's going to be awesome.
Holy crap.
Whatever the first Tuesday in June is. There you go. Start got it.
Hey, yeah, there you go.
It's that one.
That's madness. I can't believe that's happened so quickly.
Yeah, it's right around the corner.
I mean, look, Vegas only just happened.
We've had a necromancer for almost a year. Scary.
What? Oh my god.
Yeah.
Normally, there's a class reps and or influencers, content creators, hands-on experience before. But I wonder, with all of the COVID-19 stuff and the shutdown on travel, there may not be a hands-on for all of us this time. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like
I doubt there'll be a lot for a lot of different companies at the moment.
You know what I mean? Like,
stay in their house.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I mean, they're not even saying for employees to go into work in most game studios.
Yeah.
The chance of bringing creators might be, and I guess June is like, even TwitchCon is cancelled. And
quite literally, this could be one of the first ones in a while that I will have pre-exposure. You know what I mean? I'm getting it at the same time everybody else.
Is that nice? I mean, it's obviously nice for you guys to go to the studio and stuff.
It gives you an opportunity to experience it at the same time everybody else is, which is kind of nice. That's fun too.
But like, obviously, going to the studio is nice.
I love it. I mean, if I had a choice, I would take that every time.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So, do you want to dodge? Do you want to dodge the virus, or do you want to stay at home?
Right.
Get me on a plane.
right?
Yeah. I don't care.
Hand sanitizers and masks. Here we go.
Yeah, Xynode, do you want to come over to America and grab that and I bring it back
Rubber
for your
gloves and
base?
masks.
Yeah,
We're good.
Yeah.
I'll just wear a hazmat suit and we good.
Yeah. Oh God, can you imagine? Jesus, amazing. So that was the dungeons. I think I agree with you in terms of both of them. I think Unhallowed was definitely my favorite. The grappling mechanics and the secret path, and I think the just combination of everything. It was just an easy one for me. And then you've got the big Papa Bone Colossus thing, which is just amazing to see. And I always with the dungeons. I think that is probably one of my favorite dungeons that has actually been in DLC for a long time. Actually, that could be my favorite. I'm not sure. Yeah,
I can't make my mind up with stuff like that because people ask me on stream all the time, "What's your favorite dungeon?" For the longest time, it was actually Imperial City Prison, which Finn gave me loads of trouble for. But it was I just like the dungeon. Then when Lair of Marsalok came out, that took my top. Favorite, and then on Grave comes up. Yeah, I love
Marsalok's one of my least favorite dungeons. I
really
hate that thing. Oh my god!
In your face, it's really cool.
It's so uninspiringly boring. It's just the same fights over and over and over.
Now, Unhallowed Grave might actually go up above that one. So yeah, there's too many mechanics and they're not to like. It's so unique in its own right.
It is.
It's very cool.
Yeah, the Harrowstorm DLC is one of my favorite all-time DLC dungeon DLCs. I absolutely love these dungeons. I just love the mechanics. I'm really into it. And Unhallowed Grave has now made it in my top 3 of all-time favorite dungeons. I love I still love Falkreath Hold. I Vaults of Madness because of the aesthetic and the bullet time thing at the end and the jumping off. That's always in my top 3.
Forge.
And oh my god, what do you got? That's another one in my bottom list.
But that's not boring. That's in your face.
One.
Is in your face. That one is royal.
They've nerfed it. It's not quite as bad, but still.
Okay. I just remember because it was one of the first main dungeons, difficulty-wise, where I tried to do like the harder parts of it, and as a healer, as an intro dungeon, because it was when Earthgore was really good, and I was new to the game then, so it was like my big challenge. So it was I think that's probably why. But I like a lot of the mechanics in there. I think.
My perspective is coming from Community Night Dungeons. So every Friday night we do Community Night Dungeons on my channel. Myself, JJ Shabadoo, Gandork, and sometimes some others will sit in like Zuna and things like that, where we run people through dungeons, right? Yeah. And for a while there, everybody wanted Earthgore, so I was running Bloodroot Forge on Friday night, sometimes 3 and 4 and 5 times every Friday.
Oh god.
Which, so then and then Lair of Marsalok because of the bash, because of the monster helm there, I was having to run that sucker. And how many? There's a few fights in there like the just uninspiring, killing that stupid lurcher 3 times in a row to kill it. The endless waves of stranglers, and right around the time that they nerfed AoE damage at the same time. So we're like
it's just build for it.
and then so we go through. It takes forever to get through it. We run it, and then someone come in and they also want that hat too. So for a while there, I was having to run that damn Lair of Marsalok over and over and over, and it's just all like, oh, shoot me.
Mine for that is definitely Bloodroot. My Bloodroot is your Lair of Marsalok, I guess, because when I'm doing the what they call DLC roulettes, basically I go into specific dungeon and I click all of the vet DLCs and press go on my tank. I just press it every single time. Not every single time, but most of the time I get friggin' Bloodroot constantly.
Nice.
I've had Lair of Marsalok a few times.
People trying to get Earthgore, man.
And if are you just solo as well? Are you solo as well?
Oh yeah, I'm full on pug. I go in as a tank, hit the button and go.
That's when it's the true challenge.
Dude, I've had some good ones and I've had some difficult ones. Some really difficult ones.
Amazing. That's pretty brave.
The pull before Gacha Bar can actually wipe your group over and but they nerfed the hell out of that fight and they had to.
Yeah. Good old Gorbachev.
Oh, I love it. Hate it.
Maybe I have to do another dungeon.
It is painful. I mean, I'm with you. Bloodroot Forge and Lair of Marsalok are in my bottom. They're like my bottom 2. Although Blood Reforged isn't too bad these days because they nerfed Earthcore and then they nerfed the dungeon, so I don't get asked to do it very often.
Yeah, that's
and
there you go. Revisit.
It's not
revisit on Friday.
It's not as bad as it was.
Friday revisit.
The Hag Raven still gets people. Still gets people. It's really tough.
That's actually one of the worst ones. Yeah, that's where people start to quit.
heal.
That's when people start to quit that dungeon. They start to leave, and I'm just like, wow, why? I mean, I just don't stand in the bit, and I'm just like, that's pretty much one of the reasons most people die, isn't it? I'm just like, yeah, don't stand there, dude. It's bad.
One of the other ones for pugs, actually, which is relevant to Ice Reach because it's the same coven, is what the hell is it called? Direfrost. Last boss. Yeah. People don't break free.
Oh yeah,
don't break free, and the boss
and
sits
on hard mode, she heals a shit ton if you don't break free.
Yeah, she does.
But they nerfed that. It used to be way worse.
This is true.
Yeah,
but when you're tanking, you tank, and you think if I was on a DPS right now, I could do a little bit of damage and probably outdo the heal, and you're sitting there just staring at the screen, thinking, "There's nothing I can do."
Oh no!
I'm completely stuffed.
Yeah,
that happens.
Yeah,
but yeah, those are the same witches.
I'm familiar. That was the first 6 months that I streamed. That's pretty much all I did was pug as a tank.
Yep. It's fun, but
and there were some nights where I was literally in one dungeon for like 3 hours. As people would quit, they'd rage quit, and then we'd wait for another one to come in, and there was always like one other sucker who would just stick it out long enough that we would finally get it done.
Oh, that's
for punishment, I guess.
We didn't get any like major skin, right, for just doing it.
We have got like a tattoo type thing.
Yeah, really cool tattoo, and you get Laris's axe, weapon style, which is sweet.
So you did get something. Like it's not the skin, but I'm the tattoo. I don't actually know if I've put that on my character yet. Is that for just completing on
axe style that we got is sweet.
Axe style as well. Yeah, I don't really miss the Anders.
And the red dye that you get for doing both of them on a dungeon is glorious because on metal, it actually shines like a silver color. It's like the first actual true shiny silver colored dye on metal surfaces.
Okay.
And then on like flat surfaces, it has sort of this reddish, bloody looking. It's really cool. It's a really cool dye. Yeah. Okay. It's pretty sweet.
So it's definitely worth checking out some of the rewards and that. So that's good. So not the same, but equally as awesome. So yeah, good stuff. Armor sets, any good sets? There's a good tank set, isn't there? I think is that a good tank
good
set?
Everything set.
Good everything. Them. Okay.
Yeah.
Same.
Some
really
just cool stuff.
Say more about that.
Some of it I can't. The Aegis set with a spinning Atro dude.
Yeah.
He's not an Atro. You know what I mean? The same rig as the Atro.
Whatever it is.
Yeah.
Aegis, that one is very, very cool. It's it just spins AoE damage over time. It's nuts. One of the healing sets is actually really cool. Heal over time every second in a big area of effect just for healing people.
Hey, which one's that?
Hiti, I can't pronounce it.
The one with the big red circle, the big like orangish red circle that spins out from
massive circle.
Okay,
that one's really cool. They've got some really unique visuals. So the Aegis one is a new kind of one that the player can use because before it was always an enemy, so that actually appears. The new circle is cool. The new bubble or damage shield, which is a bit
Mother Cincinnati hat.
That's the one. That one is really cool as well. I think they've done really well both in application of the actual abilities that fire off the sets themselves and the visuals at the same time, rather than just here's a cool effect and it doesn't do anything decent, or here's a cool bonus or benefit and there's no visual. They've actually kind of got both together on some of the sets now. So I do like them, especially the tank set, which gives a resistance buff to everybody. Oh, that's filth. Stacks too. Really, really nice. So I do like what they've done with it. I haven't tried the Cyrodiil stuff yet, though. Haven't tried any of that.
Haven't either.
There's some new crafted Cyrodiil set.
Yeah, I'm not actually sure about those sets at all. Haiti. Yeah, I can't pronounce that.
Haiti.
It looks like Haiti.
Haiti. Haiti.
Haiti.
Haiti.
Actually,
the witch set.
Yeah.
Oh, that healing set is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's
I
mad.
didn't even know that was there. That's damn.
As soon as I
epic.
saw that on live, as soon as I tested it, even on live stream, my eyes just lit up straight away. I was like, "What is this?"
That's like
Yeah.
a
Pretty
mini. That's kind of like a bit like Earthgore was, is it? Like the same? Is it the same
procs
size?
a lot.
Yeah,
If you ever
every
watch
12
somebody-
seconds.
Yeah, if you ever watch
It's-
somebody with it, they just have this giant orangish red circle around them the whole time.
It's only got a 2-second downtime.
Yeah.
That's gonna get
It's-
nerfed.
pretty
That's gonna
wild.
get nerfed.
nice.
Man. that is actually pretty crazy. Yeah, so you get Magicka recovery, maximum Magicka, and yeah, when you heal yourself or an ally with an ability, just with an ability, gain a warming aura for 10 seconds.
Warming.
While the warming aura, while in the warming aura, you and your group members restore 1,020 health every second and reduce the cost of sprint, block, and roll dodge by 5%. This effect can only occur every 12 seconds. So, like Xynode said, you've pretty much got, and Ninja said as well, you've pretty much
just
got this
always
orange
on,
aura.
feels like, yeah.
every single time you heal. Does it look nice? I don't know.
Yeah,
Because-
that's the point. It looks
is
really
pretty cool
cool.
looking.
Oh, it does look
Yeah.
cool. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
But it stands out. Like it is a big ass orangish reddish
Yep.
spinning disc around you. You're like Saturn with this
That
huge
is what I
orange-
liked
Yeah.
about the new sets. They've all got their own unique visuals.
Yeah.
It wasn't something that we've seen before.
Yeah, the Aegis proc is huge. Like
Yeah,
it's
it's
a
massive.
full size one of those thingies with these blades spinning around it.
Yeah.
But it's kind of hilarious. It's a little derpy sometimes because if you're kind of like, even if you happen to hit like you cast a spell and you happen to hit, a rat or something that's not attached, it'll
Oh,
block
really?
on that. It's like literally like
Oh,
10 meters
wow.
away from where the actual fight is. So you just see this, the Aegis over there spinning by himself off to the side. It's kind of funny, but it procs a lot too. So it's
Yeah,
not too
yeah.
bad. Still hilarious. See,
How are the looks on them? They look good.
I think
that is really cool. Yeah, that's the boss, the red guard kind of protection
Yeah.
dude, the guy blue with all the swords. It's
Mhm.
one of those. Comes out and starts hitting stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, but like the actual look of the armor itself.
Oh, the armor itself, the
Who
motif.
gives a
style,
shit, man? You use the style,
What do you mean who gives a shit? I want it to look good. What's the
Nobody
matter
cares
with
what it
you?
looks like. You're gonna use
You
the
are MMO
styles.
players. I debate your
gives a
MMO.
shit?
I'm
Yeah.
saying it doesn't
Fuck
matter what
no.
what the drops
Gee,
look like because you're gonna
guys,
change
if
it
you're
anyway. You know what I'm
listening
saying?
to
Like,
If you're listening
what I'm
to
saying.
this, they don't care about the look of the armor. What
no,
kind of
you're
MMO
not listening
players
to
are
me,
they?
Jebro.
I
You're
am
not
listening to
me.
you.
I said nobody cares what the drop looks like because you're just gonna change what it looks anyway. Your outfit's already gonna override it anyway. Who
But-
cares what it looks like?
Yeah, but like I care.
I care a lot what it looks like, but I'm gonna use my own style. Is what I'm
True,
saying.
true,
Whatever
You're
the
gonna go
drop
to
looks
the
like,
outfit station and
almost,
change it.
I
Yeah,
know,
exactly.
But I want.
what are
I want
drops?
the can you get the motif for these things?
Not yet, but
Not
eventually
yet,
you will.
no, but they're normally a patch later.
Yeah.
Okay. I kind of wish that they were. Have they ever done that where the motif is available when it's dropped? The dungeon?
No.
Dude, the one from Vhoff took forever.
Yeah.
So God knows.
I think that's
It's
something
usually
they
a
should
patch or
work
two
on.
after you'll see it.
I don't know.
Yep.
I feel like they could be. I feel like that's something which could really be with the DLC. But I guess then it doesn't really give you another reason to revisit if you've got all the things done, I suppose. And that's one reason they kind of bring it back, maybe. I don't know, or bring it in later.
Maybe they do it because of people like yourself who like to put on the set to look like the new stuff.
Yeah,
But
that's
instead
what I
of
like.
stopping
I like that
people
stuff.
from going and putting it on and just changing their outfit, they give them a few months of putting it on.
Maybe what to feel like special. Or something.
Yeah.
That might be a reason. I really do like because yeah, you can't unless you got the motif. You're not using that style unless so you're not seeing it around. That's one thing that I think could do with a little bit of earlier introduction, but it's a minor thing. But yeah, is there anything else in Dungeons you wanted to mention? There is some other stuff that got put into the update, which is fairly exciting, I guess. Well, yeah, it's pretty exciting. How was your download experience?
Fine.
Mine was fine,
Yeah.
but I got pretty fat internet, so
Yep.
I don't normally struggle with patches in ESO like some people do, but
I'm looking forward to the console one because generally Sony's kind of well, for PlayStation at least anyway. Obviously, Xbox is different, but PlayStation has a bit of a cap when you download, and it just doesn't go necessarily as fast as your internet could. And also, when you've got it, the copying side of it, because it downloads it first, and it copies it over, and then it installs it all. That phase takes forever. So it'll be interesting to see how much of an impact that actually makes once we get the new update for, which is tomorrow actually, for Harrowstorm.
Oh god, you're only getting it tomorrow, aren't you, on the console?
Yeah,
Jesus, I forgot about that.
On PC, I've already got it. We saved what, 16 gig, whereas on console, it's supposed to save 30. So that will be quite nice.
About 20 on mine.
Yeah, you get rid of a lot of stuff in the background, a lot of extra doodads. But yeah, it was okay on PC so far. Can't comment on console yet, obviously, because we haven't got it yet. But by tomorrow, I can. We'll see.
Hopefully,
looking forward to it for definite.
They're able to put a lot of fixes in that were kind of issues on PC, and they've been able to put that into.
Yeah, normally, if there's been any fixes between the PC update and the console update, because console has to go through certification, you can't just throw patches at it whenever you want. So the gap gives them usually enough time to iron out some of the rough edges before we get it. So we just have the one, but there obviously has been some issues lately that they've been trying to fix. So hopefully we get that at the same time. Yeah. But we don't know. We'll see. But yeah, the download itself was on PC anyway. Was really good. It was just straight in, rip the old stuff and done.
So if anyone doesn't know what we're talking about, and you're in console and you're listening to this and you haven't downloaded the ESO patch yet, get yourself doing that if you want to play. If you're like, yeah, I'm going to play the game after this, well, go and do the install first.
Make sure you got some space.
Make sure you got some space, yeah. Well, yeah, oh god, yeah, because you're going to need to, yeah, right, okay.
You need the space first to save the space later.
So that's basically re-download the game. They downsized the game by, like, you know, Ninja says, and Zion says between 16 and 20. I think it's about 16, 17 for me as well. And they, so basically it brought, what was it? It says it's performance improvements, frame rate stability improvements as well. Load screens? Are load screens quicker?
Mine are worse.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I actually don't know. Like, I haven't been like, whoa, this is crazy speedier. I think it is.
I haven't had a stupidly huge impact on load screens. The one thing I can say I noticed, if we're just avoiding bugs for a minute, because we know about those. You know, dolmen farming, when people are there with hundreds of players and they're all running around in like black morph suits because they got no textures.
Yeah.
That didn't happen. I was on live stream, streaming off the same system as I was streaming off, which is quite heavy on the load. And I ran straight to Dom, and I could see all the effects, I could see all the people, all the textures rendered a lot. It was really fast. So that made it work. If that translates over console, as well. Big plus.
Okay.
Yep, it's all that.
Fair. Well, that's pretty good. Okay, so that's obviously something. And the frames were okay as well. You think the frames?
Yeah, frames are great. I haven't had any issues personally with that.
Frames are feeling a lot better. I've noticed.
Is it, what about
overall? I feel pretty good about it. It's just the load screens, and then, you know, the Cyrodiil issues that were introduced with the crash. They've since fixed that, but there's a weird, particularly in CP campaigns, there's this weird delay on skills going off, which is a new one that the devs are aware of, and they're trying to run it down and figure out what it's causing that. But you know, so that, you know, they're on the right path, but whenever you're doing something this major, and then alongside you're also doing some additional changes like the block adjustments and things like that, sometimes things that you won't see in a test environment, even when you artificially put things under load, until you actually have a live environment where things are actually getting hit with actual real, you know, weight. That's when some of these things get exposed. So
internal and live are two completely different beasts.
Yeah, absolutely. Optimize multi-threading implementation to improve performance in situations with lots of effects. All the particle fun times that people have in MMOs and whatnot as well. I've noticed definitely. Well, the thing is, I'm in a 2 PC setup now since the beginning of the year, and I've already noticed this, like you say, because when you're streaming and playing an MMO on the same computer and you're streaming, it's pretty damn hard. And to be fair, moving to a 2 PC setup helped that anyway. But then it was like, okay, this actually, you know, I've noticed a lot. Like, there's not that kind of a lag sometimes when there's just so much going on your screen, and in dungeons and stuff that used to happen to me, it doesn't anymore.
I broke mine on purpose to see what would happen. I put 43 target skeletons down. Fired off as many dots as I could to get a Zerblight to explode off of every single target dummy.
Yeah.
And they all exploded at once. Normally, the game would just switch off.
The game would just switch off. It wouldn't even try.
The game would switch off. And with 43 of them, I did get like 2-second freeze, but that's it. Everything else went fine.
I mean, there's a big difference.
Flooded with so many effects, I wanted it to break. And it just froze.
Is there a clip of that anywhere?
I could probably make one.
You should. Absolutely should. I'd love to see that.
But I forced it to be really stressed, and it held. It did hold.
You're such a nerd. I love it. That's great. Anything else major there? Added additional miscellaneous CPU optimizations, including the following. I guess all of this matters in the grand scale of things, which is pretty good. So they're still working on all of this stuff even as we're talking right now. And like Ninja said as well, they're still working on combat. But there was new PvP campaigns, and there was solo queue and BGs, which I've done a little bit of, which is pretty good.
Fantastic.
Yeah, that was for like that was a lot to do with the MMR stuff as well, because they're trying to recalculate MMR, and a lot of people were like, yeah, well, I'm not going to get my party queue anymore, and it's like, well, if they're rejigging MMR, they have to have solo queue. You can't have MMR based off of like a queue system, which can be 1 person to 4. It just won't work. MMR won't be calculated properly at all. So if you don't know what MMR is, it's matchmaking rating. And it is basically how you get ranked in PvP, how they decide who you are going to be playing with and against, and they equalize it between each team. So even if there are low amount of people queued from a lower MMR ranking to a high, they will try and balance it out. That's what they should be doing. Pretty sure they are. And so sometimes that still won't work out well, because you might just have a really ridiculous skilled player with someone who's a bit lower. There you go. That was a good word to use other than the one I was about to think. Not yet, maybe. Yeah, so I think it's actually really good that they've got that solo queue system in there. I think at some point they should have the option to have team queue again, but when the MMR is sorted and all the other stuff they're trying to work out with BG queues. I don't know if you guys play BGs much. I mean, I don't know, you said you're happy about that.
Yeah, it's really, really fun.
That's it. It's really
I love BG. I like the solo queues, because I hate going up again. You know, I have a couple of characters where their MMR had gotten pretty high, so even when I would solo queue myself, I'd still end up against these premates that were just rolling around, steamrolling everybody, and it was not very fun. So right now, I've actually had some pretty fun fights where even if we get in there and we lose, it still felt like we were in it. You know what I mean? Other times you get in there and it's like so obvious. You start to recognize names, and you can see these groups, and you're like, ah, shit, this is gonna be
before you even start,
be a mess.
Whereas you might see those groups like on different teams now split up.
Yeah. Rather than 4 really hugely tanky, all popping permafrost wardens, and you're just stuck in ice and dead.
Yeah, or just get stunned, and then they blow you up, and then rinse and repeat.
Or 4 Templars with the jabby jabs.
I went against 3 Templar tanks. I went against 3 Templar tanks that were really strong. And these 3 Templar tanks, although they could pump out loads of damage and survive loads, every time one of them died, it didn't matter, because there was a Necro sitting at the back with a bloody res ulti. So you'd get through the front line.
PvP.
You get through the front line, you couldn't get past them to get to him, and every time one of them died, he'd just pick them back up again. This is never going to end well.
I do like that.
Ended up in the same game like 3 times in a row. Bring solo queues, I can't wait. So yeah, that's really cool.
I just wanted to see Ninja's face when I said the jabby jabs and Templar, because I was stream recently.
Templars 2020.
I was watching his stream, I think it was last week, I can't remember, and he was doing some BGs, and I'm exactly the same. I'm like, I've just done everything I possibly can against this guy, and he's just pressing one button. I'm just like deeply sad and upset. I'm just like,
if he doesn't get you with a topple jab Jesus beam, you somehow survive that, and then you turn around and get him whittled down, and then he waves his hand a couple times and he's back to full health.
Triple J
much.
right there. Triple J.
Sucks.
The jabby Jesus beam. I like that.
Yeah.
Good stuff. I'm using that. I'm stealing it. You should have trademarked that, mate. Jabby, oh god. It's the worst. But you know, there's always something. Oh well. Other than that, I think Harrowstorm was pretty successful. I can't really think of anything that was. There's nothing in my head where I'm like, God, this was awful. Or this was just something that was.
PvP is the Cyrodiil was the one that you know. So
yes,
depending on who you talk to,
Mhm.
Harrowstorm was a smashing success.
Yes.
Then you talk to a Cyrodiil permanent resident,
True.
and they are utterly destroyed right now.
Yeah.
They're just, I mean, so I feel for that.
That's
I
the
feel
fair
for
point.
everybody. I feel for the devs who are trying to run down and deal with these issues, and I feel for the players who have been suffering through performance issues, particularly on the CP campaigns during prime time. You know, to have a patch come out that had promise, and then to have things not go as intended. I know I have full faith that they will get to the other side, but in the meantime, you know, you're like, you know, what do you do?
Yeah.
That's your favorite way to play, and that's really the only thing you enjoy in the game. You know, you're kind of left in the lurch right now, and that's really frustrating. I get the frustration.
Yeah, that's the thing, and I completely forgot about that just now. I mean, been hearing about it in the stream team as well, so you know it's been talked about. Like we're talking about this everywhere, Twitter, forums, and everything. But just then, I was just thinking, like, I was just being purely selfish, like my own experience, because I don't go into Cyrodiil that much. It's been great.
Yeah.
Like, it's been fun. I'm good. But like, you know, when exactly, you go to another session of the game.
Whole other contingency of players right now who are just utterly pissed. You know, so.
And they just heard me say that as well, and they probably might be listening. They're just like, "No, what are you talking about?
Nice,
downvote, downvote. This guy's a dickhead. He's going to just like vote down all his content now everywhere."
Jebro doesn't care about PvPers.
Oh god, damn, that's scary. Imagine that. I was gonna say PvP is my main thing. Upsettedness. Just go and play Warhammer Online for a while. That has seen a massive resurgence, I tell you. That's an interesting one, actually. I don't know if you guys ever played Realm Warhammer Online back in the day.
I got it on release day.
You did?
Played it a lot.
Nice. Yeah. Well, it was the open world, the RVR, which is a lot of like old school peeps know.
I used to love it.
Oh, dude. I mean, I think, what is it? Lazy Peon recently just did a video on it. It's got like 500,000 views, and there's shitloads of people on the private server, and it's so much fun. I missed it a lot. That's the game that got it right for me in terms of like realm versus realm, cool. Open world combat. It was just insane.
Plus, it was a tabletop nerd for years, so that was massive to me. I couldn't wait for that to come out. I did play it a stupid amount during its kind of prime, if you know what I mean.
The heyday. Like I played 40k, so I was like, damn, I want a 40k version. Oh god. Yeah. And are you married?
No, well,
you have a partner though, and so he's probably.
And speaking of married, my wife's birthday is today, so I really do have to run. Yeah.
That's fine.
I gotta get the steaks on the grill. And get
Okay,
her ready
you're good.
So
That's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
I didn't check Discord at all. All right, so we're gonna go. We're done pretty much anyway. Unless there's anything you guys want to say, I'm gonna say no because Ninja's got to go and have birthday wife fun. Oh, no, I'm not gonna say that.
Whoops. Not on though.
Come and watch the video to see those eyebrows, Rose. But we are gonna go. Sorry, I didn't look at the Discord. My bad. Right. So Xynode, Ninja first. Sell yourself quickly. Then we're gonna bugger off. What do you do? Where do you do it? What's your channel? What's your stuff? Where? Tell me.
I'm ninja614. I'm a full-time streamer on Twitch. I primarily stream Elder Scrolls Online. I'm an Elder Scrolls Online stream team partner, and I am currently in the process of resurrecting my YouTube as well to bring videos to help demystify the settings and technical side of streaming for noobs. So ninja614 pretty much everywhere except on Twitter. It's ninja_614 because Twitter won't give me ninja614 even though it's banned. So hashtag free ninja614 on Twitter.
You need to revive that. I don't feel as if it's around as much.
I keep every couple of months. I fill out another form, and they always come back with basically no. So
basically no.
Create a grassroots movement. of some sort. A campaign, if you will.
Exactly. Go follow ninja614 in all the places other than Twitter. And I won't add to that pain. _ 614.
Yeah.
And then Xynode, what, where, who, how?
You can find me pretty much everywhere. If you just Google Xynode, you'll find everything that I've got. But if we go through details, XynodeGaming.com is where you'll find written guides and details for just about everything. My channel itself is focused on teaching people the game. So if you're brand new or if you've been playing for 6 years almost, doesn't make a difference. Got something for you, whether it be builds, guides, tutorials, whatever. You got everything there, except for fishing. I don't show that stuff.
next year, you never know.
So unless YouTube is / Xynode Gaming, Twitch is / Xynode, Twitter is at Xynode actually, and Facebook is Xynode Gaming also.
He got
but
at
that one doesn't
Xynode.
use quite as much.
That's
yeah, I did. And also Patreon is the other one, / Xynode as well. So you can find me all over the place. But if you just go to the website, that's probably going to be your quickest way to find all the rest of it. So XynodeGaming.com for that one.
Amazing. Okay. I'm going to quickly sum myself very, very quickly. This podcast has been produced on twitch.tv/Jebro Unity. If you Google Jebro, Twitter, and all the things, you'll be able to find me. But Twitter is at Jebro. YouTube is at /Jebro Unity as well, where this podcast will be available. Also available on anchor.fm/Jebro. You can also find the Good Wars 2 podcast as well, Lightbringers, anchor.fm, the Lightbringers as well, which is a new podcast which is produced recently. So if you want to check that out, go and do that. But otherwise, I implore you to please go and follow these gents. They are very awesome content creators, and they produce so much stuff. I watch these guys in very different ways for different stuff that they produce. So please go and do that. And we will see you next time on the New Companions. These guys undoubtedly will be back in the future. Happy birthday to the wife, ninja614.
Thank you.
And
pass it along.
Xynode, happy coronavirus day. I don't know. I couldn't think of anything else. But yeah, you can wave if you want to. You can do that.
Wash your hands. Don't touch your face.
Yes, don't touch your face, everyone. We'll see you next time on the New Companions. Thanks so much for watching, and take care.